You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. We're your hosts, Annette Harris. Intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? You need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Well, great afternoon. Welcome to another wonderful session of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. And this is your host, Annette Harris. Thank you so much for joining us on today, for listening. And my goodness, it is exactly 12 o'clock, right? Oh, my. I did that today. I appreciate you all joining us on today. And of course, before I go further, I must acknowledge the Lord in prayer. And I'm going to ask my guest if he would please open us up with a word of prayer.
Absolutely. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you for your faithfulness. We thank you, God, for uh, this platform to deal with topics that uh, plague your people and that occupy their minds. God, we pray for every listener. We pray for everyone that is tuning in, that you will allow something to be said that will bring them to a conclusion that was set by you. Close the loop, heal wounds. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Oh, yeah, that was powerful. I'm glad I did ask you to do that. That is something we definitely need before we even delve into today's topic. Our opening scripture that I normally like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4:6, and it states, "My people are of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee." And that's very apropos again for what we're going to delve into on today.
Yes.
I'm excited. I have Apostle Dion Hunt joining me again from so-called the Center. He is in our midst. And how are you on this afternoon?
I'm doing wonderful.
Good.
Doing wonderful.
Good.
Glad to be back.
I'm glad you're back as well. It seems like it's been so long, right? Doesn't
It's
it
been
seem
a
like
minute.
it?
I've been in and out of town, but it's a minute.
Right. Well, I am so glad that you have consented to come back in on today. I actually I see a couple of people on here on the Facebook live feed, and I do want to give a quick shout out. My cousin DeMark Adams is on. Last week, many of you may have read my post after the show was over, but prior to the show last week, maybe like even 10 minutes before, I got a phone call from my cousin, and he informed me that my aunt had passed, his mother. So I went into and doing that show with knowing that, and it was kind of rough. So we've been kind of dealing with that for the past week. Our services will be this coming Saturday. So I just want to give a shout out prayer to my cousins, my family, DeMark and his sister and his brothers, as they are planning to bury their mom and to give her a great homegoing service on this weekend. So you all make sure you pray for the Adams family.
Sincerest condolences.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And there are men, I've been seeing so many on Facebook as well, losing loved ones and different ones going through. So our prayers for all of you, each of you that are going through and you're grieving now in your bereavement period. So we are definitely holding you up in prayer. Apostle, it seemed like I could not sleep last night. I kind of tossed a little bit, and I just said, okay, Lord, whatever you're trying to talk to me about, whatever you're trying to tell me, I want to be able to hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And, even in today's topic, loyalty versus disloyalty, you gave me that topic title. And then you kind of made it a little bit more detailed in terms of how you were going to focus on it. And I want you to tell my listeners exactly what you were thinking of when you came up with this topic. And we're going to try and see if we can get into this session on today. Want to let each of you know, of course, I'm on Facebook Live, Annette known as Annette. I'm also on my YouTube channel right now, MBSWANET, MBSWANET. Get caught in the net. And I would love it and appreciate it if you would go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would really, really appreciate it. And also go ahead and click that little bell there. That way you'll get notified when I go live. I would appreciate that as well. And then also we're on the station's website. And that is intellectualradio.com. So you have three different ways of listening to us on today, and I appreciate you for joining us. They're jumping in: Heather Cook, Annette Lofton, Dominic. Thanks for watching. Demetrius, Beatrice, Cheryl Lovelace, Kayla. How are you? Oh, okay.
Kayla Love.
I guess has school started back? Okay, I won't do that. Let's see, Demarc, Michelle Thomas, Jarita is on. Thank you for watching. And I know many are heading back to school as well. Maybe she hasn't started her classes yet, but I just want to go ahead and get into this. This is interesting. Did any of you look at my post? Did you see the questions and or statements that Apostle provided us with that we're going to see we can talk about on today?
Wow.
Loyalty versus disloyalty. I started off asking you, how did you come about with this particular?
I was dealing with something in a message, and I've kind of been dealing with it with my church for the last few weeks. And we take sidebars. So I took a sidebar and was dealing with loyalty versus disloyalty, and just kind of dealing with certain attributes of it. Um, and I can tell just with many people, that's a very, very sensitive topic. It's sensitive to me because the last thing, especially people who value relationships and value covenant and value the people in their lives, the last thing that you want to feel is that you are in covenant with someone who may not be loyal, or even worse than that, the last thing that you would want to feel is that you are not holding up your end of the bargain and feel as if someone may be view you as disloyal. And so I just in dealing with that and the sensitivity of it, I don't shy away from sensitive topics. And so it just kind of let me, encouraged me to kind of deal with it even more, because I think that your idea of loyalty may not be the same as someone else's idea of loyalty. And the differences in the degrees of loyalty may be traced back to my concept of loyalty versus your concept of loyalty. And so I believe that loyalty can be taught. You hear the saying, people say all the time that either you're loyal or you're not. Either it's in you or it's not. I believe loyalty can be taught if you're given the right tools. If you understand the confines and of certain relationships, and a relationship is defined, the covenant of that relationship is clearly defined. I believe it can be taught. And anything that's in the Bible, anything that's in the scriptures, is there for us to be taught and learn. So I believe that it's something that it's we're in a season now where relationships with people and covenant with people, um, um, divine connections are of the utmost importance. And if we don't know how to handle certain relationships, um, then we can mishandle them and not get out of the relationship all that we should.
Okay. And maybe can we go to maybe defining loyalty first and then disloyalty?
Oh wow, we're gonna go right in, huh? So I was looking at loyalty, um, and there's many definitions of loyalty, but I looked at the history and the origin of the word. And if you look at the history of it, it's from an old French word, loyal, which means of good quality. So anything loyal is of good quality. It means faithful, um, honorable, legitimate. Legitimate. It also meant law abiding. And so I can't, there's certain scenarios where I can't be law abiding if I don't know the law. I can't follow the rules if I don't know the rules. And so that's kind of what led me into, okay, then that may also be something that is specific from relationship to relationship. Is the relationship clearly defined? Is the covenant clearly defined? Because, I may enter into a relationship with you, a covenant with you, and I have my own idea of what that relationship is or should be. And in your head is something totally different. And so I'm loyal to my idea of the relationship, and you're loyal to yours, and we're missing one another. And so it meant legitimate, law abiding. Loyalty is characterized by or showing faithfulness to commitments, vows, continued allegiance, and or obligations. And so being loyal requires something of you. Being loyal is work. Loyalty is work, because it's not easy sometimes, because um, it requires you many times to make a choice when you really don't want to make a choice. You want to do what's comfortable. You want to do what's easy. But loyalty will require you to make a difficult choice. Another saying about loyalty is that loyalty is unwavering in good times and bad. Think about that. So loyalty is something that doesn't waver, no matter what the situations are or the scenarios may be. Loyalty is what it is. It doesn't waver. There's something that the Bible says about it, is that a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. And so, what does that really mean? That a friend, that means that there is nothing that could happen that will jeopardize a relationship with a friend. You see, and I think a lot of times what we have deal breakers. We have deal breakers. We have covenant breakers. We have scenarios and things that we've come up in our minds and said, okay, if this happens, then that's a deal breaker. But is that really covenant? You know what I mean? Because I think the covenant is there to ensure that there are no deal breakers. You see,
Ooh.
and so the Bible says that a friend loves at all times. So loyalty is not so much what you say. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. God said that, and He stands by that, and He's our ultimate example for loyalty. But loyalty in man is more so what you do, because we make a lot of promises, not being faced with choices and opportunities. But when those choices and opportunities come, what will you do? And so I know I went off on a tangent, but
No. That's good. That's perfect. I actually pulled up a couple of definitions here, and of course they were going right in conjunction with what you were saying. And I'm looking there; they're chiming on Facebook Live, so I'm gonna hop on over there too. But one of the definitions that I pulled up as a noun, loyalty is the state of being loyal or fidelity.
yes.
So, and then, well, we haven't gotten over to disloyal, so we won't go there yet. But that's what it pulled up for me. Faithfulness or devotion to some person, cause, or nation. You said a whole lot, but there was something that grabbed me when you mentioned about understanding loyalty. Basically, I'm kind of paraphrasing some of the things that you're saying, and you really have to understand. No, because just like you said, you could have a certain definition or what's the word I'm looking for?
Expectation.
And then I have a totally different one, but yet we're in this same
Together.
ministry together or whatever.
Yes.
And then we're both like basically on two different pages.
Two different dimensions. You see,
Yeah.
and you feel like the other person is doing you wrong, and really they're not. If there was no agreement on what this is, and so I think one of the first things that you have to do before you even deal with whether or not someone is being loyal or disloyal is have an understanding of the relationship. What is this covenant? And then there are different types of covenants. There's a unilateral covenant, which means that I make a promise to you, and my promise to you is solely based on me. In other words, there's nothing that you can do that will cause me to break my promise. And that's much like the covenant that God has with man, you see. And so, but then there's also a bilateral covenant, which means that both of us have responsibilities in this agreement. And if I fail my responsibility, then you're released from the covenant. Or if you fail in your responsibility, then I'm released. So what kind of covenant is this? What kind of relationship is this? Because if I don't understand the boundaries of this relationship, or even if there is any boundary, how is this defined? What does this mean for you and me? If that has not been clearly defined, how can you be loyal to something that is not defined?
And you can't.
You can't. Or let me ask you this: how can you? What if the relationship is based on a lie? You see, what if you are in a relationship and you've entered into an agreement with someone, and and something was presented to you as factual and or true that was not, and you made your decision to be in covenant based off of what you thought was true, and in actuality it was not. Are you still bound to it?
Now that's deep right there.
And if you break it, are you the disloyal one? You know what I mean?
Okay.
I was presented with something like that, and I won't get into the details, but I've recently had to deal with something like that, where I made an agreement with someone that was centered around something that was not true. And as difficult as it was, I was yet going to hold up my end of the bargain until I found out that what was said was not true.
Was not true.
And then I said, well, there's no way I can hold this, covenant.
Okay. I think I have a call on the line.
Yeah.
I was going to open up the phone lines, but I guess they've called in already. Can you hit the on/off button for me? To the left. Hello, caller. This is Mind, Body, and Soul.
Yes, this is Dr. Hunt.
Lord have mercy.
Hello, Dr. Hunt. How are you?
I am so blessed. What an awesome subject.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is absolutely a tremendous thing to be dealing with, particularly at this time. While you were talking, Apostle Dion, and God bless you, Annette, your program is the bomb.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hunt. That means so much coming from you. I appreciate that. And I know you're praying for me.
Always.
Thank
always.
you.
You know. But I want to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
About loyalty. The interesting thing about disloyalty is that it is always fueled by personal ambition. Now, it's nothing wrong with personal ambition. You see, people ought to desire to advance themselves and to move their lives along, their personal lives forward. So there's nothing wrong with, personal ambition. But when personal ambition becomes your number one goal, it is impossible to be loyal to anything or to anyone. And the reason for this is because personal ambition, particularly and especially within ministry, what it many times causes is a feeling of I am equal to the leader. And I am equal in that I am what he is or she is. Perfect example. Watch what Satan said. This was satanic. And ambition, personal ambition many times can be very satanic. Watch what the devil said in Isaiah, what Lucifer said. He says, I will exalt my throne above the Most High, above the throne of God. And then watch what he says. He says, and I will be like the Most High. In any structure where there is leadership, you are never on that same level. And I didn't get cut off, did I?
No, sir.
No,
You're
sir.
still here. You know, I done pulled out my pen and paper, and I'm trying to write down
Okay.
some of your comments. So I'm listening.
In any structure where there is leadership, you are never on that level. And what the enemy has a tendency to do is to make and to cause one's personal ambition to exceed and excel beyond the context of that leadership. That's why Lucifer said, I will exalt my throne. That was satanic, his personal ambition. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Then he says, watch this, this is key. I will be like the Most High.
My God.
You see. And so in this, now he leads a rebellion, and 1/3 of heaven follows him. 1/3 of the angels follows him and are subsequently thrown out of heaven for his rebellion against God. You see. What Samuel told Saul, he says, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Your stubbornness is your stubbornness is as iniquity, and your rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And what I have discovered is that when a person becomes disloyal, you have to get rid of them. You have to let them go. You have to release them, because there is nothing else that you can accomplish with them. You know, I like to invoke Apostle Dion, the movie Godfather. You know, we're Godfather buffs.
Yes, sir.
I watch it all, especially every Christmas time I sit around and there's so many nuggets in it. But in the movie Godfather, Fredo is confronted by his brother Michael because Fredo sold him out. He didn't do it maliciously. He didn't do it because he had a malice problem. He didn't do it. He wasn't disloyal because of his jealousy against his brother Michael. He loved his brother. But he did it because there was an open door for him. And he said it. He told his brother Michael, when Michael confronted him and said, I know it was you, Fredo. You know, later on he told him, he said, they told me there was something in it for me. Personal ambition.
Lord.
Whenever personal ambition within the confines of an established leadership, that whenever personal ambition began to exceed beyond the scope of that vision, it is going to create and cause disloyalty. You might as well let them go after that. You might as well release them out. I've released so many people over the years when I saw that, because I know that they were no longer any advantage to the ministry, and that now this has become about them. It's something in it for me. And if you don't release them, they'll feel like you're holding them back. You see. So thank y'all for letting me call in. I'm sorry for taking up too much time.
Oh, we appreciate you. Thank you so
Lord
much.
have mercy.
I appreciate it. Did you want to say anything?
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. Whoa.
We appreciate those nuggets.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
No apology necessary.
It's an amazing thing that this subject is being dealt with, because right now, I think that it is probably one of the most dangerous things in ministry. People got to find out where they belong and what role they play, how they fit. You see, when Jesus had his 12 disciples, you see, there was personal ambition among them that caused strife.
Yes.
And who is going to be the greatest? Who's going to be the most anointed? Who's going to sit next to you on your right hand and on your left when we come into the kingdom? And then, of course, Satan's ambition was to have his own kingdom. And you know what? He got it. He has his own kingdom right now. Satan didn't start out with a kingdom, but he has his own kingdom right now.
My God.
And there are a whole lot of kingdoms that have been created out of disloyalty and ambition and rebellion. Thank y'all.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, you're bringing up so many other topics that we can even venture into.
Lord have mercy.
Woo, this is deep. Again, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for calling in and giving us your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Thank y'all for letting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Blessings.
One of the things that he's taught, though, down through the years, is that every opportunity is not to be taken just because you're given the opportunity. And he would ask us a question: what obligates you to take this opportunity? Just because there's an open door, it doesn't mean you have to walk through it. Why do you feel obligated to walk through this door if it's going to compromise the integrity of this? You see? And so that's just something that he would drill in us and just make us question why it is we were pursuing certain things. Because if it's going to put a strain or wear away at the integrity of this covenant, then you need to reconsider that. And so many things that he said. He talked about how Satan, through his personal ambition, rebelled and caused a third of the stars of heaven to rebel. Or your loyalty can invoke disloyalty in others. Your disloyalty, rather.
Okay.
I said your disloyalty can invoke disloyalty in others.
Okay.
It can cause others to follow suit. And in Revelations, it dealt with it a different way when it says that a third part of the waters were made bitter. When it dealt with wormwood. And so you can look at it and say, okay, before someone is enticed to disloyalty, bitterness is somewhere in that, you see. And so now you got to deal with people being bitter. You got to deal with offenses, when really loyalty should be above offense. because loyalty invokes commitment in good times or bad. When a relationship is strained, and when a relationship is hunky dory. And so loyalty really should be above offense. The Bible says a third part of the waters were made bitter, wormwood. And so you see a lot of people who their loyalty weighs in the balance after they've been offended, after they've been hurt, or after something happened that was disagreeable to them. And so now that to them is the deal breaker, you see. And so he says so many things.
Oh my goodness, he did. Again, thank you, Dr. Hunt, for calling in. I'm going to read a few of these comments that are here on the Facebook Live. Looks like Dr. Hunt probably put this up before he called in. He said personal ambition is the number one thing that causes disloyalty. So then he talked about that when he called in. Deidre says here, loyalty is work. Profound. She's quoting you. And I see Pastor Christine Hunt is on. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. My mama.
He always lights up when he sees his mom's name. That is so sweet to me. And let's see. Annette Lofton is on. Some of you, I may have called your names already. Butler is on. Darrell. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but thank you for watching. Evangelist Gatlin, thank you for watching. She says, great topic. Dietrich also says here, loyalty is not what you say. I see also Bishop White from Las Vegas is watching.
Yes,
thank you.
My brother.
And he said, this is grown folks food. Indeed it is. And I tell you, you have to, and this is like, that type of food that you really don't necessarily want to eat.
Yes.
But you have to, your mom say the broccoli is good for
this
you.
Is the broccoli and the asparagus
yes,
and the green beans.
Come on now. Come on. And let's see. Making sure I didn't miss anybody. Buddy Gill, thanks for watching. He says, hello. Elder Kevin McGee is on. Cheryl is on. Thank you. Brandy says here, you can't be loyal when the parameters of the commitment are not clearly defined. And what we talked about earlier before Dr. Hunt called in, that is so true. Charles McCrae, thank you. He said, blessings to you, Sister Annette and Apostle. Bishop White says, Tony Braxton's experience, a contract she had, was not a true one. Is that right? Okay, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that was something she had to deal with. And oh yes, if anybody else wants to call it, I'm seeing comments about calling in. You can. We're accepting calls. 708-223-8953. Again, 708-223-8953. I see Lonnie Davis on. Thank you for watching.
Man of God, thank you.
All right, Marcus Hill is on. Thank you. Sharon Ware, thank you for watching. And Candace Allen, just giving acknowledgments here to you that are on, because I do appreciate you. And Brandy quoted Dr. Hunt. She said, there's nothing you can do with a disloyal person but let them go.
Oh my God.
That is something that's deep, because of course they can be a cancer. Mm-hmm. To, if you allow me to use that word lightly, to a ministry or to a relationship or what have you. So I can totally understand what he said in that respect. Now, I guess I had a question though when he said that. I agree with it, definitely, that you definitely need to let them go if they are being disloyal. Now, where does it come in? And I don't know, I may be just getting off into something else, but where does it come in or can we restore people or get them on the right track? Or do we just not deal with that because
I would say
they created so much chaos or what have you?
I would say you have to let them go if their mindset doesn't change. But anyone who is willing to fix or change their mindset, I believe they can be worked with. I do. I believe in second chances. I believe in, I know that God has given me more than second chances. So if their heart can be changed, I think the ultimate is that if they feel like what they're doing is what they just want to do, then you can't fight with them. And definitely if they feel like if being connected to that relationship is holding them back, I feel like you gotta let them go then. When someone feels like you're holding them back, then they don't see the value of the relationship. And they value what they're doing over and above what that relationship is supposed to do and what that relationship is supposed to mean. And so at that juncture, I think that it's best to just let them do what they want to do. And that's just my own personal way of handling things. And so I believe it can be taught because it's in the scriptures. And I believe that if we're in error and we see how things are supposed to go, then that can be fixed.
Okay. Brandy says here, if your kingdom is built off of snagging disloyal, offended people, what do you think is going to happen to you when the next best thing comes along?
There's so many ways you can go with that.
Oh my goodness.
That you can build and let's talk about ministry. You can build a ministry with disloyal people. I'm very particular about who I let join Saul Call. I don't just let and Saul Call, they can testify to this. I don't just let disgruntled people join. So in other words, you left your last church disgruntled, upset, mad, and you come to Saul Call dogging out your last ministry. I'm very funny about that, because the way I think is that if you're doing that to them, sooner the clock is ticking before you do that to me. And so number one, we're not going to sit up and dog your former leader out. We're not going to do that. That's between you guys. And my thing is this: if you're coming to my ministry, come the correct way. You have certain ministries where people go back between certain ministries, back and forth, and maybe even the leaders are in covenant with one another. I'm very funny about that. Don't leave my friend's church and come to my church. No, we need to talk.
Yes.
But see, that's where ambition comes into play. And if I'm only concerned with building my ministry at the expense of all these other leaders, then what does that say about me?
Yeah, that's something. I know we have a call on the line. We're going to get them on. You reminded me, my late pastor used to always say, when people would try to come, you can click it. When people would come over to our church, from a different, church or whatever, and he found out if there was some, disloyalty or disagreement or whatever, like, no, go back over there, get that resolved.
That, fix that.
Fix that. This is Mind, Body, and Soul. I have a call on the line.
Yes, this is Bishop George White from Las Vegas, Nevada. God bless you both.
God bless
Bishop.
you.
God bless you, man. This is grown folks' food today.
Yes, sir.
And what do you want to contribute?
Amen. And Dr. Hunt, Dr. Lord Michael Hunt, he's the professor of the revelation of the Word of God. And it just, provoked my spirit for the things that he was talking about. I knew he was going to the Godfather. We talk about that so much.
Yes, sir.
Woman of God, you spoke of the restoration of loyalty. And that's what I was really calling in on. To break loyalty, it's almost like infidelity. You're almost, as prodigal son said, the Bible said, when he came to himself. It's almost like it's almost crazy that you would be disloyal to someone that has been committed to you. It's almost like a dog bites you after you fell it. And they said there's certain dogs that turn on you. Mm-hmm. You can do nothing with them after that. You just got to get rid of them. But what Dr. Apostle Dion said, the Bible speaks of the restoration. The Bible says that prodigal son came to himself. He began to talk to himself. Father has this. In other words, the disloyal person has to come to himself and realize the wrongness that they had done. They can't be defensive coming back.
Yes.
They have to be repentive coming back. They can't say, you did this to me, this is why I did this. This was no thing. He says, I will say to my father, I have sinned. I will say to my father, I will say. He meditated on how he was coming back. Now, the father never went after the crazy, but he accepted him back in his right mind. It's hard to restore. And am I saying this right? There's a lot of other definitions that I could use, but it's hard to restore crazy. It's hard to. He said when he came to himself, as long as he was out there, and as Dr. Hunt said, he saw an opportunity. Give me what's mine. Give me what's mine. He lost his money, lost his friends. Then he's in a hog pen about to eat. Then he came to himself. He came out of that crazy state, that selfish state, that opportunity state, and said, you know what? I've messed up. I want to go home. I want to fix it. As long as there's, what word I want to say, an arbitrary situation, loyalty can't be restored. That's why people go to court and they get divorced. And that's their final sin. I'll love you, but we cannot restore loyalty as it was.
Wow.
You know, may the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another. We're separating, but the loyalty that we had, we don't see, you don't see that you were wrong. And as long as it's there, like Dr. Hunt said, Apostle Dion said, it can't be restored. Love, yes, but loyalty, no. If that makes any sense.
So love and loyalty, even though they overlap, they are not the same thing.
No.
So the love remains. I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. You will always have a place in my heart. But the disloyalty caused so much damage that the integrity of the relationship it'll never be what it once was.
No.
And so now we have to part ways.
Yes, because marriage, and I'll get to marriage. Me and my wife have been married 34 years. Man, that's loyalty. That's loyalty. The loyalty and the commitment. Because sometimes, and as I said, this grown folks food, sometimes you don't feel the love. But the loyalty and the commitment keeps it together till that spark comes back. I'm committed to winning. I'm committed to my marriage. I'm committed to loyalty. I'm committed. But that's what it's totally based upon. And there's a, what word I want to say? There's a distortion that can be released to some will think that just because I love you, I'm loyal. No, that's a distortion.
That's a distortion.
Yeah, that's a distortion. And you know, and I don't want to even go into love because I found out two of the most misconceived, the most interpreted statements is "I love you" and "you my friend." Those are the two most distorted statements that people can ever make. But it can be restored, but not at the level that it was. Not at the level that it was. Have you ever heard people say this? They're better friends now they're not married.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
We don't live, but we're real good friends. We have fun because loyalty is not required. It ain't required anymore. So you do what you want to do. You go, you want to go. You can say you know, it's not required. I don't have to, you know, be loyal, but I can be in love. I don't want to mess with that one.
Oh, and you know what? Because you're making me think. Oh my goodness, this is good, Bishop White. Thanks for calling in.
I don't want to mess with it, but I just want to chime in on that. That's my brother.
Thank you, sir.
And we're real brothers.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Hunt, Apostle Dion, his wife Cece. They're my home away from home, and this is true.
Yeah. I
appreciate you all, man. Apostle Dion, man, you're doing it. I love your radio show, Woman of God.
God bless you.
This is awesome, and I'm glad I could be a part of it today. And it just tickled me when Dr. Hunt called in. I laughed. I said, "Oh, we can just call in. That's Dr. Hunt. You know, what are we going to do? We're going to tell him no?
Right? Of course not.
We're going. I mean, you Dr. Hunt. What are you going to say? But love you all. Appreciate you. Just keep on doing a great work of God in both of your lives.
God bless you. Thank you so much. I think I have another call coming in.
Wow, they coming in.
You can click the button for me. Mind, body, and soul. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Amber.
Hi, Amber.
Hey, Amber.
How you doing?
Good.
Great.
Wonderful.
So I have a question. So I'm listening to everything concerning loyalty and love, and my mind is going, and I'm just wondering, and I'm only calling because I needed to know. So when it comes to loyalty, a person could be loyal. Just say you loyal and you're going to church every day. What's the point of being loyal if you're not effective? You're there every day, but you're not effective. You know, a person could be loyal in anything they do or choose, or going to school or anything. But going to school doesn't mean you're necessarily learning anything. So I'm saying all that to say that to be loyal in something, I'd rather for you to be loyal and love than just be loyal and just say, oh, you just coming just to come to say you're loyal. And there is nothing else tied to it, but you're just coming and no feeling or anything else connected with it. You're just present, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of wondering about the loyalty and love thing.
Well, I think too, there's a difference in loyalty and obedience. You can be obedient to a command or obedient to a request, and you obey and you do what is required for fear of the consequences. And so it's not necessarily because you value or you honor or the relationship itself. You fear the consequence of not doing what was asked, as opposed to being loyal to something because you love it, because you value it, and I'm going to do this because there's something not only that I'm giving, but there's something that I value that I'm getting as well. And I think that can be a disconnect too. I think sometimes, like you know, my children, for example, I know they go to school because it's required. We make them go to school because it's for their own good. But as they get older, they're going to see the value in going to school and getting a good education, you see. And so there is a difference.
Amber, let me ask you a question. You were mentioning about what's the sense basically in being loyal if you're not effective. I think that was one of your first questions.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, are you looking to see if you're being effective? Are you looking for that immediately?
I mean, I think it should go hand in hand. You don't just be loyal and don't be effective. That's a mindset to me. So I feel like if you're coming in and you're saying, well, you can't say you're loyal, you have to show loyalty.
Yeah.
It's not something you can say, it's something you have to show. So if you show me your loyalty, I expect for you to be effective with something you're showing me. Because if I don't see loyalty, I don't see affection either. So that's the question, like, how could you say you're loyal to anything or anyone about anything, and it's not being effective and you don't see it? And I consider that not being loyal at all. You're just on the scene. It's like,
right. Your loyalty is more than just being there.
Right.
But loyalty is going to do something. You're gonna be compelled to give, as opposed to just be present. And your heart is not in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Apostle, I wanted to ask, even when you just said something about obedience, and people do things in obedience out of fear. I mean, like, we obey God, and He says obedience is better than sacrifice. But I prefer that don't do something, don't try to be out of fear that you result of this may happen. I would prefer for you to be obedient just because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
Not because the what may happen if you do this wrong, just because it's right. And that's just me. And thank y'all for answering my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was a good point she made, though, because you should do it, because you should, not because of what consequences you could have. The calls are coming in. Mind, Body, and Soul.
Hi, wonderful show today. You guys, I was waiting for this topic, just waiting for this topic.
Well, can you tell everybody who you are?
I'm Brandy, Minister Brandy.
We know who you are.
The most awesome ministry in the world.
Oh,
Amen.
bless you, bless you. Yeah, my listeners didn't know who you were. I wanted them to know who Brandy is.
Oh, that's unnecessary. I got a question though. When dealing with a good leader, and I've been under some very, very amazing leadership, and I've learned things I never ever thought that I would learn firsthand. But I noticed that good leaders will, when you notice that somebody is disloyal, or they're showing signs of disloyalty, or they're just kind of leaning that way, they give them a chance after chance, and we're just going to kind of wait this out and let God see if God can, because God can do anything. Let's kind of see before tossing them aside. Or, well, I don't know if you just tell somebody to leave the church. My question is, and I thank God that I will never be a pastor, because I don't think that I would handle things like this correctly. How do you know when it's time to tell someone, listen, you are disloyal, you are a cancer in my church, you're causing other people, you're getting in the ears of other people, the newer saints who are coming in, and you're a poison. You need to leave. Don't hang halfway in, halfway out, and badmouth the church to other people because you've already planned to leave. When do you cut that cancer out? Or is there a time where you say, you know what, you have to go for the good of the rest of my ministry?
Wow.
Excellent question.
And that is not specific to ministry. I mean, if you have a business,
companies too.
Yeah, a company, anything. And so, have I been presented with that in the past? Yes, I have. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult because 9 times out of 10, that person, and I think I brought it up before, that person is offended, and that person has certain things that they're harboring that's fueling their disloyalty and their rebellion and their outburst. And if that is not adequately dealt with, and there's no desire, Bishop White said something very key. If you can't acknowledge you're wrong in it, then healing can't take place. If you're going to mask it as something else, if you're going to pretend that it's not there, then the healing can't take place. And so at a certain point, and I believe it's case by case, but when their presence is causing more damage to what you're trying to build, then certain decisions have to be made. And I think certainly I'm not a proponent of just kicking people out of the church. I know that it's easy to do that, but I do think that you can say, okay, if you're not going to be down for the cause, as they say, then I at least need to not have your hand in the business of what we're doing. You know, because I can't, at that point, I can't afford to. If you don't believe in this, if you don't trust in this, if you're not going to be dedicated to this. And so I think at when situations like that come up, you got to ask, and you got to ask them, okay, why exactly are you here? If here is so horrible, if here is so detrimental, if being here works against who you're trying to become, and if being here is holding you back, then why are you here? And there was a time where I had to ask someone that question, and the result of that question caused them to leave. You know, so
you made them think.
I made them think about it. I didn't kick them out. I didn't push them out, but I made them think about what was really going on. You see.
Did he answer your question, Brandy?
Absolutely, and thank you for answering it. I came across what kind of intrigued me is I came across an article in Forbes, and they were talking about dealing with toxic employees who were threatening the morale of other employees and newer employees. And I thought it was interesting how they're kind of similar.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Appreciate you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that was an excellent question, because it's like, you know, of course, Annette's mind. I'm always thinking this person that you're dealing with, those that you may have to go to and say, okay, well, what's your purpose or your reason for being here? If it's so horrible, whatever, that person still has a soul. So I know you want to deal with them in a correct way.
Yes.
Because
ultimately they belong to God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, today, you know, as we're talking today, this is not just church ministry we're talking about. You know, we're talking, as I stated in my pre-show, we can even, you know, attribute this or liken this to, you know, our workplaces, you know, familial relationships, romantic relationships.
Yes.
You know, there's so much that you can, you know, look at in what we're talking about today, loyalty versus disloyalty. Well, I tell you, the calls have been coming in, and I appreciate you that are calling in and even chiming in on Facebook Live. What I'm going to do right now is take a quick break, because we didn't do our first break because it just continued on, and that's fine. I appreciate that. I do see my sister on, Gwen Gaston Gray, and she, when you mentioned about going to individuals and asking them, you know, well, what's your reason for being here? If then just leave. That's something she says all the time. All the time.
Wow.
And she's in HR. She's been in over 30-something years, and that's her area. And she says that all the time about different, you know, aspects of life. You know, what's your reason?
You have to ask that, because that person's bitterness, that person's offense, that person being disgruntled, bitterness spreads. The spirit of bitterness, when it's in one person, it cannot remain in that. They have to talk about, and it spreads. And so you hear people say about cutting out the cancer. I know that sounds extreme, but that's really what it's like. And so if you don't if that person is not willing to deal with the bitterness, then you have to ask, okay, why are you here then?
Why are you here? So. Amber says here they're called spectators. I love that comment. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, listen to some music, and we'll be back for more of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette right here on Intellectual Radio.
No more wasting time. I'll bless you. I give you my heart, my mind. Lord, please take control. I declare I'm a willing soul. I I declare, I'm a willing soul. Day of my heart, I'll serve you. No more wasting time. I'll bless you. Bless your name. Give you my heart, my mind. Lord, please control. I declare, I'm a willing soul. I declare, I'm a willing soul. This is my body as a sacrifice. Acceptable, I live for you. Let the things in life keep my thoughts from me pleasing. My body as a sacrifice. Only acceptable, I live for you. Lord, let the things in life. So whatever you want, Lord, I'm gonna do it. I'm willing to do it. Lord, I'm willing. Not my will, but yours be done, oh Lord. Go wherever you want me to go. Hold myself in your word. Show me the way. Just lead me. How do you want me to live? Here am I. Send me. Use me, Lord. I'm ready to be used for the kingdom. Win a soul for you. Use me, Lord. Use me, Lord. I'm you are the reason I'm feeling so.
All right, all right. Welcome back. Welcome back. The irony of that song, Willing Soul. Are you a willing soul? I love that song. Zoriante Brown and the Willing Souls. You will be hearing music from them on today. The Willing Souls are coming up on their 9th anniversary celebration, Exist in His Will, Acts 17, 27, and 28. And this will be on Sunday, August 26th. So we wanted to play their music on today so we can kind of advertise. If you go and look on my page, you will see a flyer. Zoriante Brown, the Willing Souls, they're in their 9th anniversary celebration on Sunday, August 26th at 5 p.m. It's a free will offering, so it's a free concert. You come on in and enjoy. This is going to be at the House of Prayer Temple Church of God in Christ on 14729 Page Avenue in Harvey, Illinois. Superintendent Herman Durden is the host pastor. So you all make sure that you go out and support Zoriante Brown. He does supply music for Mind, Body, and Soul. So we want to support him as well. And that's what you were just listening to. I'm a willing soul. All right. I am here in the studio this afternoon with Apostle Hunt, and we have only taken one break because this topic has been very, very detailed so far on today. I'm excited that you guys are joining in, and even on Facebook Live. I appreciate those of you that have shared the live feed on today, and those of you that have called in and are actually commenting on today. Oh, Apostle, where do we go? My goodness. You know what I think I want to do real quick? There were a couple of questions on Facebook Live that I do want to see if we can try and answer those on today. I need to go back up. Buddy Gill had a couple of questions on here. I'm going to see if I can read it. And oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to go all the way back up. Let's see here. He says, and I've got to put my glasses on here. He says, I think a question that should be asked as it pertains to loyalty in ministry is one who is growing in ministry, yet is under the covering of his or her leader. Does their growth qualify them as disloyal to their leader?
Wow.
That's deep. He says here, he gives an example. His son is loyal to him, but he's growing into his own man. He's raised and trained him, and now he's his own man. And he says he now releases him to achieve his own personal goals and opportunities, yet he remains loyal. He should always have his own personal ambitions and goals. So
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome question. I do believe that you should, as leaders, our job is to raise up other leaders. And if you are a leader who only wants your members or the membership of your church to sit in the pews and watch you, then you're not an effective leader, because a leader produces other leaders, and eventually they're gonna grow, they're gonna mature, and they're gonna be able to do what you do, and you should be raising them to do better than you. And so opportunities are gonna come, and this is where the difficulty in navigating comes in, because I believe that you can most definitely give people the freedom to grow and mature and explore new things and evolve into who God is making them to be, and it not compromise their assignment with their home church. I believe that if those lines are clearly defined, then ultimately that person is left with a choice. We were brought up even in ministry to say, you take care of home first. Yeah, you can go out. I'll send you out, but you take care of home first. As an apostle, with me being the senior pastor of an entire ministry, I still submit my schedule to my leadership. Because one of the things that we teach, even as a ministry, in a mentor-protege relationship, that the protege, in their loyalty to the mentor, will submit and change, if necessary, their schedule as it relates to their leader's schedule. See, and so I can't say that I follow leadership, and I'm not willing to do that. I can't say that I follow and I'm submitted and I'm committed and I'm loyal to my leader if my loyalty is not first to them and what they are building. And so, and we are taught that as you continue to push leadership forward, and as you continue to move forward with them, then opportunities will come for you. They can't go up. Leadership can't go up without the people who are supporting them going up too. It's impossible. If Dr. Hunt is going up and I'm pushing and I'm supporting him and I'm a part of his support system and I'm helping him to build so-called global nation, there is no way in the world I'm not going to go up with him, you see. And so I think that if people value that principle, that's a kingdom principle. If they value the principle, then they'll understand the value of not wavering in your commitment to home first.
Love it. Yeah, we were always taught to, when you go out, you make sure you, like you said, submit your schedule or whatever to your leader. Brandy said here in response to that comment from Buddy and the question from Buddy, she said the difference though, Buddy, is that his son, the example he gave, has his leader's blessing. He values your covering and the fact that you released him.
Well, let me just say this. Oh my God. There's a difference between being released and sent. I can send you. And when I send you, I'm sending you not only with my blessing, but I'm sending you in my authority, with my power. Jesus sent his disciples 2 by 2. He sent them to do what he himself would do. So in other words, I can't make it there in person, but I'm sending you in my stead. And because I'm sending you, you're going in my authority to do what I would do if I was there. That is a different principle than releasing someone to go. If you come to me and say that you want to do X, Y, Z, because I'm not an overbearing leader. See, I don't believe in being overbearing and controlling. I want to give people the opportunity to love and honor and respect my leadership. And so you may miss it a few times with me because I'm not going to control you like that. You know what I mean? So I'll release you to do what's in your heart to do. And I'll release you wanting you to do well. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm releasing you hoping that you fall on your face. No, I genuinely want you to do well, but that is still yet different than being sent. That's a whole different principle.
And thanks for that clarification, because you're accurate. It is, there is a difference in being released and being sent. Ooh, this is good stuff today. Let's see. You want to say something else?
Yeah, I was thinking about even the relationship with Naomi and Ruth. And how Naomi loved her two daughters. They were her daughters-in-law. And what happened was, not only did Naomi's husband die, but the sons passed away too. But Naomi was still committed to her daughters as if they were her own. They were her own. And so the question that popped in my mind when I was looking at that story is, what if the thing that brought you two together, that you were centered around, you know, I wouldn't even know you if this hadn't brought us. What if that is moved out of the way? Are you committed to the thing that brought us together, or are you committed to this relationship? Because what brought them together, what brought Naomi and Ruth together, was the son. So when the son passed, Ruth stayed. But the other daughter-in-law, I can't remember. Forgive me, I can't remember her name. The other daughter-in-law, when given the opportunity to leave, was it Orpah?
Yes.
Orpah?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
The other daughter-in-law, when given the opportunity to leave, left.
She was out of there.
And if you look at the definition of Orpah, if you study her name means, one of the definition means the back of the neck. So when given the opportunity to leave, Orpah will show you the back of her neck. They're gonna go. And so what happens when what brought us two together? It had been 10 years since the sons had passed. 10 is a number of human responsibility. So what happens when you've been responsible enough to say, I've done enough, you know? And so Ruth yet remained, even though what brought her to Naomi was no longer there. That's loyalty.
That's loyalty. Perfect example.
Perfect example, because, you know, every opportunity, Orpah had the opportunity and she took it. Enough said. Ruth had the same opportunity, but said, you know what? Wherever you go, I'm going to go. Whatever you do, whoever you love, I'm going to love. I'm going to be here with you because I value the relationship, not just what brought us together, but I value the relationship. That's a whole nother level.
Now see, you didn't went off into something else. Lord have mercy. But that, again, perfect example.
Yeah.
Okay. There's so much I want to say about that. Oh my goodness. Okay. And you know what? Just so you all know, when we were on break, we said we don't think this is going to be a one time. We'll probably have to do part 2 or something of this, and because there's so much to be brought out with this. And then when you talk about one thing and it makes you think about something else, and it's like, okay, your mind gets to going. So it's definitely going to have to be another session on this. Demetria Triplet says, even when we relocated, she's talking about herself. She asked her pastor to speak with her previous pastor out of state to see if her husband and her would actually fit the ministry. Well, that's good. She said the sheep need to make sure the leadership of the ministry is the shepherd they need, not want, because we need a shepherd that will praise and rebuke in love. Just like the shepherd needs to make sure the new member is a sheep and not a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's good. I read that without my glasses too. This is good. All right.
Wow.
Pastor Cecilia, this is what I wanted to get down to. Okay, I've scrolled down. Pastor Cecilia says here, what are some things we can do to examine ourselves and guard our hearts so we remain loyal? Pass the test. And this is interesting because, as simple, the example you just gave about Naomi, Ruth, Orpah, and Orpah leaving, obviously she didn't have that loyalty to the relationship, as you said. And obviously her commitment was just to what brought them together. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's gone now. Mm-hmm. I'm out. Bye-bye. Right. She was going back to her people. And that wasn't the case. So how do you
Whoa.
I think I don't know if you know where I'm going. I'm trying to grab
I'm
this
listening to
and pulling this into what Pastor Cecilia just said. What are some things we can do to examine ourselves and guard our hearts so we remain loyal? What could she have done?
What could Orpah have done?
Or was it just not in her from the beginning? See, that's two different things.
Her loyalty was based off of what she valued. And if you value the wrong thing, if you put your value on the wrong thing, then when that thing is removed, then so is the loyalty. I think, sometimes crisis can bring people together. You have people who have gone through some very traumatic things. And because they went through that trauma together, they just happen to be in the same room. Now they're bonded by that trauma. But then when they're healed and restored from that trauma, then they go their separate ways. And so I think it just depends on what you put the value on, and just reminding yourself of the value of the relationship and placing the value on the right thing, I think will keep you rooted and grounded and at least give you the first steps to making the right decision. Because I think Bishop White said it, you can, even like in a relationship, and when I counsel couples, I say it all the time, you have to remind yourself of why you two are together. Because if you're looking at what's separating you, if you're focused on what's separating you, then that's what you're going to go. So you have to consistently remind yourself of what drew you to that person, and feed that and feed it. Because I think Bishop White said, sometimes you might fall out of love with someone, but commitment and loyalty will make you stay committed until you fall back in love. You see, and so wow, that just blew my, because he said it, loyalty and love, even though it overlaps, it may not be the same thing. You see, but you need loyalty to continue to love.
Ooh-wee. Okay. Pastor CC, I did that answer your question. Hopefully so.
I hope so.
If you're still listening, let us know. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm trying to look at the different comments here. Brandy says here, loyalty means your first priority is to take care of home. Okay. I like that. Apostle Helen says a good leader's work themselves out of a job. Did I read that already? I don't know if I read that.
No, you didn't, but
okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to comment on that?
No, I think she probably said that when I was talking about how our job is to raise up leaders. And so eventually they're going to be doing what we do, And so I know that's the type of leader that she is. She's a She's a wonderful apostle who has raised up her ministry to do what she does when she's not there. She's able to travel. She's able to do apostolic things because of how she's raised them up, to function in ministry. And so that's a wonderful mindset.
That's the sign of a great leader.
It is. It is.
And because that leader is not selfish
or insecure.
Yes.
Hello.
All of that.
Because some leaders are so insecure that they can't relinquish the mic. There's some leaders who they have to do everything, because in order to make sure that they are the most anointed, they're the most gifted, and everybody, and so they don't give chances and opportunities to the people that they're bringing up, because they want to remain as the anointed one in that ministry.
And want everybody to look at them.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, because our job really is to produce other leaders, you see.
Oh, okay. So where is your loyalty? Yeah. What are you focused on?
One more thing about Ruth, though.
Yes.
Naomi told them to go.
Yes.
She told them. And one of the things that she told them because she felt bad that she was not able to give them. She said, I can't have any more sons for you. So I have nothing I can't replace what you lost. Leave. And the mindset of an opportunist, if you're an opportunist, it's almost impossible to be loyal with an opportunist mindset, because an opportunist feels obligated to walk through the open door. You gave me this opportunity, I have to take it because another one may not come. No. You can turn down opportunities. It speaks of your loyalty, and the right door will open. See, Ruth turning down that opportunity put her in line to meet Boaz. See, so turning down the opportunity don't mean that you're shutting down your future. And I think that's what people feel like. If you don't let me go, then I have no future. I'm just stuck here. Not realizing that as a leader, they may be saying, this is not the right opportunity, you see. Or even beyond leadership, God is saying, if you're loyal, like Ruth is, Naomi gave her the opportunity to go. But if you use Ruth as your example, I will make sure that the right door comes for you. And so we miss a lot of stuff. That's why I say loyalty, if it's in the scriptures, I believe it can be taught to some degree, because there's so many examples of what to do and what not to do.
Definitely. Now, I had another question in my mind as you were talking. Did you say, oh Lord?
You're stretching me.
Now let me ask you this. We're still talking about Orpah and Ruth. Now, okay, so we say that Ruth, right, was loyal. That showed her loyalty. Now, does that necessarily say that Orpah was disloyal? Because she chose to go ahead and leave, or was that just another example of her being, you say you have to release people?
I think that Orpah put the value in the wrong place.
Okay.
I think that she put the value, because the son was moved out of the way. The son had passed. She saw no need to be connected to Ruth. To Naomi. So
we wouldn't necessarily put that label on her of disloyalty.
You can.
Okay.
You can. But the biggest thing is misplaced value more than anything. Before you even get to disloyalty, she didn't value the relationship. Ruth valued Naomi as a mother, and it showed even in her dealings with Boaz, because Naomi coached Ruth on how to get him. Naomi was like, follow my instructions. I'm gonna tell you how to get this man. And she followed, but that would not have happened if she had not valued the relationship. Yeah, I'm sorry that my husband passed, and I do that, but me and you still got something that I'm not going to cast aside. And so I'm gonna go wherever you go, and I'm gonna love whoever you love. That's a whole another level of commitment and loyalty and allegiance. That's what that is. So let's just say it that way. Orpah did not have an allegiance to Naomi. She felt like there was no necessary allegiance. I can leave. After all, she's telling me I can go. And that's. Have you ever been put in that position where someone who is pouring out and feels like they have nothing else to give you tell you to go? I'm releasing you to go because I feel like so at that point, what you have to do is you have to value what they've poured out up until that point. So because of what you have given me thus far, I can't walk away from you. I can't. And I think that's the difference between between Ruth and Orpah. She valued what Naomi gave up until that point, even though she felt like she couldn't give it. And Naomi was she was depressed because she could not give them what she felt like they wanted. But Ruth was like, no, I value something totally different. I value you. You see, and so that's a whole nother, because there are people who are loyal to what you can give them. So as long as you're supplying a need, as long as you are giving them what they want, then they're loyal to. We have pets that as long as you feed them, you know what I mean? They're gonna go to who feeds them. Now, our pet at home, his name is Chewbacca. I probably show him the least amount of affection in the house. I don't rub him, but I feed him more than anybody. And so when I come in the house, who is he coming to first? He thinks that I got something for him to eat, you see. And so I'm saying that there are certain people that as long as you feeding them, as long as you giving them what they want, as long as you giving them what they are loyal to what you can give them. And then when you remove that out of the way, then the relationship now is weighing in the balance. They don't see the value in you. They see the value in what you're giving them.
Where is your value? Where is your value? That's a question that we all need to ask ourselves on today. Pastor CC says we should definitely grow and help others grow. However, our growth does not give us a right to disrespect, dishonor, and devalue leadership, especially when they nurtured our growth.
That's good. That's good. Even as parents and children, that child grows up and they're able to live life, stand on their own 2 feet. It still doesn't give them the right to disrespect or not value the parent and all that they gave them. That's excellent.
Perfect. Amber says here, some people are only around for their benefit, but when it's no longer beneficial, that's when they leave. True. And we've said that throughout. Demetri Pitts, thank you for watching. Apostle Helen says here, loyalty keeps you there when the initial reason for you coming together has expired.
Yes.
She says, awesome, Apostle Dion. Catherine, hello to you. Thanks for watching. Apostle Helen also says right motives and right intention helps keep an interest in anything. I totally agree with that. I totally agree. Yeah, I would think so. Your right motives and right intentions definitely can help keep an interest in whatever you are looking at that point. Brandy says here, remind yourself of why you initially chose your covering. Ooh.
Brandy keep coming. I love Brandy because Brandy, for so many reasons, but Brandy loves leadership hard. And the same thing I said about her mother. I said her mother would kill a brick for me. Brandy is the same way. And so she's very protective of leadership. That's why she keeps going back to that.
I see. And that's a good thing. You know, a lot of times we need to hear that, you know. And I totally agree with that.
I have a question for you. Can you be loyal to a fault? Or loyal, you hear the term loyal to your own hurt.
And my answer without hesitation is yes.
I think that's a question that a lot of people have. First of all, loyal to a fault. So I'm so loyal to where I'll be dishonest on your behalf.
Woo-hoo.
I'm so loyal to where I will cover your dirt, even if it means crossing some lines or, you know, doing something dishonest as it relates to somebody else because I'm loyal to you.
Or so loyal that I think one of your questions or statements was, you know, what kind of detriment will it do to you? And I'm paraphrasing that. What, you know what I mean? You're so loyal. You're like putting yourself, you're really, really putting yourself into helping them out and doing this for them. And then whatever you need is kind of like falling to the side. You're so loyal.
When is being loyal to you hurting me? That is a very difficult. It's difficult because I'm presented with stuff like that even as a leader and counseling people, especially in relationships. When is being so loyal to you and committed to this? When is it hurting me? And I think it's hurting that person when only one side is being loyal and the other one is not.
And that could be a variety of reasons, or you could see that in so many different ways. I mean, I know, and when I asked you at the beginning, where did you come up with this subject? A lot of times you'll tell me, you know, something you've dealt with personally or what have you. And of course, I'm thinking about things personally right now. You know, sometimes I have put myself out there and have been loyal. And then when I want to say this as carefully as I should. When that person is gone, you know, sometimes you become taken advantage of, or what you've done for that ministry or for that project or whatever. I'm trying to be careful in my words today, but I'm just saying, you know, then you know, it's like all that you put, you know, all those years that you've done, all, you know, been loyal, you've done this, you've done that, and then you're questioned, and then you start pulling back because you're like, okay, well, obviously you don't see
that I've been loyal.
Wow. And then you kind of feel taken advantage of. There comes in that aspect. Okay, let me stop.
No, that's serious. And when someone questions your loyalty, and you know you've been loyal to the best of your ability, even to the degree that it has been detrimental to you and yours, because watch this, because you failed to announce every time you were in a compromising situation and chose that covenant or that ministry or that relationship. Just because I didn't acknowledge it, you don't see all the things that I've done in regards to this. And so it's real easy for you to say that I'm disloyal when you're not considering all that I've done. You haven't felt the sting of it. I have, you see. And so that is a very real scenario. And I think there are more of us who are in that scenario than what we know. But those are scenarios that you really have to talk. I think dialogue and conversation have to really be intact. Because if you're not communicating certain things, and I'm not saying, okay, oh, I did this, make sure you jot that down. I'm not saying that. But when you come to the point to where you just want to say, okay, what else can I do? What else can you do? Talk. Sit down and talk. Communicate, come to that understanding, because what's happening now is that there's offense taken, you see. And if we don't resolve that, then the next step is separation, when it may not even be necessary. You know what I mean? And so it's really unfortunate, but I believe that happens. I believe that happens more than what we know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you just reminded me of something. I know when I put up my post, I think it was Demetra Pitts. She mentioned about this was a good topic, and then she mentioned that hopefully this can help, those people that are dealing with that church hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we even talked about that on the other
Mm-hmm.
show, because oh man, okay, I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna be good today. I'm gonna be good. Maybe the Lord give me how to word it, but yeah, this is very deep. I see you guys on here on Facebook Live and your comments. What I'm gonna do really, really quickly is go ahead and take a quick break and listen to our spoken word from Elder Kevin McGee. He has a show here on Saturdays entitled Connections at 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time. And he has supplied us with a wonderful spoken word for today's topic. Take a listen and we'll come right back.
Loyalty. What does it really mean? Is it that concept that no matter what happens, you are ride or die, whether right or wrong, no questions asked? Or is it that you are loyal even if it means an act of disloyalty if the situation warrants you doing the right thing? You see, I'm convinced that people just banter their word loyalty around, not really knowing what loyalty really is. So they don't recognize when someone is loyal even when they are not in agreement. Or is that disloyalty? You see, to me, disloyalty is when you are loyal, but loyal to the wrong thing that causes you to compromise your ideals and moral, even though you may be loyal to that person. You just may be disloyal to yourself. So until we can decide whether someone is loyal or disloyal, we must examine, what are we asking them to swear their allegiance to? And then look in the mirror to see if we are even loyal to the one looking back at us. Loyal.
Bullseye.
He hit it on the head.
On the head.
As he always does.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elder McGee. That spoken word in itself is a whole nother show.
Wow.
Although he touched on so many things that we've already talked about. What do you want to say about that?
Someone asked a question. I think it was Evangelist Demetrius.
Okay.
It was right at the top of my screen. What should be the extent of our loyalty? And we kind of just touched on that when what happens when being loyal is hurting me. And we have our way that we deal with certain things. There's certain things that we do in the natural that just makes sense. Well, if it's hurting me, then let go. But the scriptures, my mind goes to David and Jonathan. David was loyal to Saul, who was that was an example of someone having to be loyal to someone wicked. David had to be loyal to a wicked king who was trying to kill him. He was dodging javelins and everything. And so, but David remained loyal to the degree that even when David and his mighty men found Saul and his men sleep in a cave, and David's men said, "You have the perfect opportunity to take Saul out," David did not do it because of loyalty. And in fact, what he did was he cut a piece of Saul's garment off as to say, "This is what I could have did to you. I caught you slipping." But even that smote his heart, the Bible said, because of his loyalty to his wicked leader. he was so loyal to the fact that even when Saul died, what's the extent of our loyalty? Even when Saul died, David maintained his covenant with Jonathan, Saul's son. And so in that respect, David showed us that in certain respects, there is no end to the loyalty in certain respects.
Oh my goodness.
And so that's an awesome question, because it just makes you think, how much do I really put up with, you know? And I think certain things are connected to your integrity and to your character. God builds in us character. And I think I was talking to Evangelist Kamitra's son when I said this. God will use unfair situations to build character in you.
Oh yeah, I firmly believe that. Definitely. Because
ultimately he's concerned about that. And so being loyal, that's a very noble character, you know.
It is.
So
we have a call on the line. Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. Mind, Body, and Soul.
Yes.
Yes.
This is Dr. Hunt calling back.
Dr. Hunt, yes. How can we help you?
I wanted to interject something. This is a wonderful, wonderful program. I think it's absolutely phenomenal that y'all dealing with this because it's stuff that needs to be covered. It is my job as a leader to raise up other leaders. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've been raising up leaders. And I've raised up quite a number of successful ministries. And I know the ones that can go on to a measure of success and those who cannot. And the way I know it is by how they serve when they are there. And so we as leaders never seek to keep people suppressed. That is not the job of a leader. The job of leaders is to raise up other leaders. But here's one of the problems that always come up is when that leader who is being raised up don't think that their leader has their interest at all. So a lot of times when that is the case, that's when even if they've been completely loyal, whenever they start feeling like you no longer or you never had their best interest, it's going to be some problem. But as Apostle Dion Hunt was just asserting, Saul did not have the interest of David. David was not Saul's interest. But because God had assigned David to be a king, he needed to know how to completely serve a king in every way. Watch this, this is going to be very powerful. Even to the point of when that king was seeking his life, David could not rail against him. You see.
My God.
I was minded when at some point in the broadcast today about Absalom, who was David's son, who took counsel with Ahithophel. In fact, I did an entire Facebook Live on that, and how that he stood in the gate, and how he diverted all of the people unto himself. When God has us raising up leaders, those leaders have to be well aware of their calling and of their ministry. If you're called to be an apostle, Apostle Dion was called to be an apostle. When I totally stepped out of the way, turned everything over into him, and I watched his apostolic ministry go to the next level. Now, had I tried to put my thumb on him and hold him down, which I never did with anybody, I would open door before I would close one. But had I tried to put my thumb on him and keep him down, even as a son, I would have been wrong. As his father, and as him being my son, I would have been in error as his leader. No leader is supposed to try to keep anybody's ministry from advancing. As a matter of fact, it's our job to advance it. But then also, the other aspect of it is that those leaders who are being raised up must know that their loyalty and dedication to service means that many times they have to put some of their personal ambitions on hold, because I can't do both, you see. And so, but until that realization comes, that's where the conflict will come in. And I kind of had to take a phone call, so I had to get out and get back into discussion. But that's where I was at in the discussion. And I'm telling you, I love this discussion. I've got a ton of notes on it, And now that the door is open, one of these times when I get up to Chicago, I'm going to do an in-depth teaching that's going to free a lot of people, bless a lot of people, and also heal a lot of people.
Yes.
And that's what it's about. That is exactly what it's about. So yeah, we appreciate that, and I'm waiting to hear what all you have, because I know it's going to be good. So thank you again for calling in and giving us your input. Did you want to say anything?
I was just going to say that we don't assume that the question that you have is necessarily your experience. And just to put a disclaimer out there, there's certain questions that came through because it was a part of the advertisement, you see. And so we do acknowledge that. But we thank God for all of you who have tuned in with your questions and your comments, because this topic is extremely sensitive, but necessary, definitely necessary. And just as you said, sis, I think it will bring a lot of deliverance and healing and restoration. It could restore divine relationships just through the proper understanding of the covenant of that connection. So
Definitely. I mean, once you get an understanding of things, then you can act accordingly. And then when you get an understanding of things, I mean, you're going to have to, give an account too.
Yeah.
Your
absolutely.
actions. I know we are running out of time. I know we are, but I want to thank each of you right now. Start thanking you. I see these questions on here, and we're probably going to have to venture off into the next session. I know there was a question on the board. I think Demetria Brand Triplet asked, "Are people seasonal?" And I was trying to scroll back up to exactly see her exact.
Wow.
She said, "Are people seasonal?" And I think she mentioned that question when we were talking about Orpah and Ruth and Naomi, and that's an excellent question.
An excellent question, and I do believe that there are certain people who are seasonal. They are a part of your purpose, but not a part of your destiny.
And I would probably give Orpah 2 labels then.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably give her that label as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was just seasonal.
Just seasonal. Or maybe Naomi was seasonal in her life.
Right.
But there are certain people who who are saying, just like Ruth said, wherever you go, wherever you end up, that's where I'm going to end up.
Right.
You see, and your destiny is your destination. So I'm going to end up wherever you, and that is, we use those things interchangeably, but when you really think about it, it can really help you put people in different categories in your life. Maybe you are a part of my purpose, but you're not necessarily a part of my destiny. So
Love it. Love it. I'm trying to make sure before we end on today that I did not miss any of these comments. And I believe that I read that from Apostle Helen. Let's see. I may have gone back up too far here. Demetra says, when you do things without pay or public praise, it is authentic. God blesses a pure heart. And Amber says, your freedom of choice. She gave them a choice to leave or stay, but to remain and make sure that one is all right is loyalty and love. Like that. Buddy says, he personally saw two men who he saw as opportunists. They left a ministry and they said that God called them to pastor. The ministries eventually failed after a few years, and now they're back at their home church serving together. He said they weren't ready.
that's a whole nother broadcast.
That's a whole nother broadcast. It is. That's a good comment there, buddy. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I saw Kamitra saying that was a question from the earlier post. So that this is good. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oftentimes our loyalty to a person, ministry, movement, etc., can cause us to have a very light or the inability to see what all is going on, or even lose sight of why we are doing what we're doing. That's from Buddy Gill. Oh my goodness. You guys have been great on today. There's so much more here. I'm just acknowledging each of you. Pastor CC says here, awesome example with David and Saul. Even when others tried to tell David it was okay to kill Saul, David honored his service and made sure he did Saul no harm. God rewarded David's loyalty. Great, great, great. Apostle Alan Laguerre is on. Thank you for watching. Mother Harris, thank you for watching. Michaela, thank you for watching. And Buddy says here, as the saying goes, everybody who comes with you can't go with you. Oh, ooh. All right.
Well.
Maybe we end on that one. That comment, that's deep right there. I love Apostle Hunt because his mind gets to going just like Annette's mind gets to go. And I can see his mind over there just going. I see it. But we're definitely going to have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
For sure. You up for it?
Absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, again, I want to thank each of you for joining us on Facebook Live. I want to thank you on YouTube, and then also listening to us on the station's website on today. Your participation, your comments, your questions are very much appreciated on today. And we can tell that this is a great topic and something that we definitely need to look at, try to handle. And Pastor Christine says when. I believe we're probably going to look at it next month. Yeah, we'll have to come back next month with it. Well, I'll confirm with Apostle and seeing if we want to do that next month. It sounds like it's a go, but
absolutely.
But we'll do that. We'll make sure we get the advertisement out there. So all of you, thank you so much for joining me on today. And again, make sure you try to get out to the Willing Soul concert on the 26th, Sunday the 26th. And again, go to my page. I'm going to make sure I put up, there is already an advertisement for it. So let's support Zoriante Brown and the Willing Souls and their 9th year anniversary. So we didn't have much time to listen to many songs on today, but you've heard some of his material. So please make sure you support this young man of God. He's doing an awesome work in the ministry. And he is loyal. He is definitely loyal in what he does. Our minister of music over at Abounding Life Church of God in Christ, and we appreciate him. Buddy Gill says, another great show today. Thumbs up. And I do thank you all for your thumbs up and your love that you've given us on today so far. So make sure you go to my website, Get Caught Internet Radio, getcaughtinternetradio.com for more information on upcoming guests and past shows as well. So until next time, I am waiting on each of you. And thank you, Apostle, for your time today. I appreciate you. Great. This has been great. So until next time, I'm waiting on you to get caught up with Annette.
You've just been listening to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, provided you with psychological and biblical insight for your everyday concerns. Need more insight? Visit Annette's Facebook page at Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. Don't forget, tune in next week for Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette.